Story 1. I did this to an ex who asked me to move out while she was on a work trip and told me she was coming back with her new boyfriend. We were still together when she left. I got these little noisemakers, battery-powered ones, the size of a quarter that emit sounds at just the right volume that you aren't sure if you really heard it. They are so quiet that two people could be sitting in an average-sized room, and while one can barely hear it, the other wouldn't hear a thing. They last ages and fit perfectly in light fixtures and wall outlets. I got a box of 20 of them for about $100 on eBay and got creative all over the house, her car, and even a boat her father got her rich family, and she grew up sailing. Now, these little noisemakers make noise at completely random intervals. It could be minutes, hours, or even take a whole day off. They cycle through noises like children laughing, a dying breath, as they called it, a whistle, scratching noises, and some others I can't remember. It was so unpredictable, it was near impossible for someone to figure it out. Months go by, I get a new place and get my life back together. We had a few friends in common, and one of them I kept up with. They were kind of sour about how she ended things, but they had grown up together and kept up the friendship, loosely talking and catching up on occasion. I never really asked about her, but one day we got it talking, and he wanted to prank some friends on a camping trip, so I told him about the noisemakers. As I'm telling him about them, he slowly starts making this face, like he's gradually losing it. He's got this huge grin on his face and asks me, "You put these in your ex's stuff, didn't you?" When I admit it, he starts laughing hysterically. It turns out her new boyfriend had only lasted a few months and had left, telling her that he couldn't handle whatever was going on with them and their mental states. For a while, they had both heard things, and sometimes only one would hear them, giving the illusion that something was really messed up with their heads at different times. They couldn't figure it out, and eventually, he wanted out completely, thinking he was infected with some brain worm the government was putting in vaccines or something like that. It was amazing. I hadn't expected to hear anything about it. I rode that train for weeks. When it went away, I got another hit of that high. She moved out, told her parents she didn't want the house, and to give it to her brother or sell it. She wouldn't tell them why. I always tell people who ask about her that I hold no grudge and don't tell them the part where I totally messed with her so bad I overshot but got her backstage and hit the blissful state of being satisfied with my work. My wife knows this story by heart because it's her favorite one to tell. Story 2. Note, this happened a while ago. So, some background. I live in a small Midwest town. I'm a disabled Army veteran who gets Meals on Wheels. Everyone, including the mayor, police chief, fire chief, city council members, and most of the city employees and residents, know me. I love watching the birds and squirrels, and so do my puppies. I have a large picture window. I use a heavy-duty cane to get around due to service-connected disabilities. I have severe PTSD, social anxiety disorder, and depression. I don't deal well with confrontation. I'm outside in my front yard filling the squirrel bird feeder with peanuts and sunflower seeds. I've already filled up the bird feeders. They are hanging from their hooks. I have a little bucket that I use to fill the feeder. My feeders are well within my property lines and about 10 feet from the house, far from the street or sidewalk. All of a sudden, I hear the call of the wild Karen. "Excuse me, what do you think you are doing?" "Huh?" was all I could stammer out. I had never met this woman before, and I knew a lot of people. Karen then screamed, "You can't put out bird feeders in this city. I was told so." I've lived in the city in my house for over 20 years, so I know it wasn't true. But about a half mile from my house was a new development, so perhaps they had homeowners association rules that wouldn't allow it. "I've lived here for," I tried to explain, but Karen wasn't having any of it. "No, you need to take them down right now." Her friend tried to hush her and say to just call the city and let them handle it. "No," I yelled back. "They are staying." I was a sergeant in the Army, and my voice carries. People came out of their houses to see what was going on. Then Karen did a really foolish move. She came onto my property and tried to take off my bird feeders. I blocked her, and she shoved me, and I fell to the ground. I swung my cane at her and hit her hard. Karen screamed, "You assaulted me!" I yelled back, "You are trespassing, and you pushed me. I'm going to call the police." Before Karen or I could call the police, there were 3 police subs on the scene. One vehicle was marked Community Service Officer, and the police chief was in it. He was delivering Meals on Wheels. A disabled Air Force vet 4 houses down got them, and so did I. The police chief saw the whole thing and called for backup. She assaulted me, and she has bird feeders which aren't allowed. The police chief, ignoring her, asked how I'm doing and if I need an ambulance and to go to the hospital. I'm on blood thinners, and when Karen pushed me, I fell really hard.
Yes, I fell very hard.
And I'm on blood thinners. He radios for an ambulance. He gets my lunch, puts it into the fridge, gets my purse and keys, calms the puppies down, and puts the radio on. They had gone bonkers seeing me get hurt. Karen, now in handcuffs. Why am I being arrested? For trespassing and assault, replied the police chief. I saw it with my own eyes, and I have dash cam video of it. Sir, I piped up, I have security cameras, and they will have footage as well. He nodded. I was whisked off to the nearby hospital, non-VA. I didn't have health insurance. I had to be treated at the VA medical center, or I would have to pay the bills myself. Due to the severity of the fall, I had to stay in the IQ for several days. I had some horrible bruises and pain afterward.
I worried about how I was going to pay the hospital bills.
Who was going to take care of my puppies, etc. As I have no family nearby, I have a special lockbox for police and the fire department with the house keys so they can enter in case of an emergency. Between the police and fire department and neighbors, my puppies were spoiled rotten. Walks, treats, and fed. And Karen, not only did she get jail time, but she also had to do 500 hours of community service. The judge knew me and threw the book at her. She also had to pay 100% of my medical expenses, including the ambulance ride. Super karma. During her jail time, she had to come to my house, dressed in her orange jail jumpsuit, and do yard work, including mowing the lawn, raking leaves, pruning, and picking up my dog's poop in the backyard, and refilling the bird feeders. Oh, how she hated to fill the feeders. Note, apparently Karen lived in the new development, which had homeowners association rules. They were McMansions. I didn't see her after she finished her community service, and from what I've been told, she lost her job and her rich husband divorced her. I'm not shedding a tear. So Karen's out there, leave me, my birds, squirrels, and their feeders alone. Story 3. One day at work, I got a call over the radio to watch out for a family that had walked in because they were slightly suspicious and had big bags. I was cleaning the aisles when I saw 2 kids grabbing handfuls of candy. At first, I thought nothing of it because kids do that until I saw both of them shovel a few into their mouths right next to me. I kindly lean over and say, "Oh, Lil Miss, could you and your sister not eat the candy until you pay for them, please?" They literally start screaming, and their parents come rushing like bats out of hell screaming, "What did you do to my kids?" What? No, I just asked that they didn't. Who do you think you are? What were you trying to do to them? Nothing. They were just eating the candy, and I... Help us, there's a predator in here. I sigh and say, "Oh, this is not going well," under my breath. My manager starts walking up, kind of just sighing because of what he just heard. What happened? Both parents start screaming and hollering over each other, so neither I nor the manager can really understand them. My manager turns to me and asks what happened. The kids were eating the candy. I just asked them not to before paying, and I also saw one of them stuff a few in her pink bag too. Okay, let me handle this. Karen then yelled, "How dare you accuse us of stealing?" My manager asks, "May we see the bag, miss?"
Absolutely not.
"How dare you accuse us when this predator tried to kidnap my children?" I look over and see the kids putting more candy into their bags, and I point them out to my manager. "Well, I hope you're planning to pay for those," as he points over to the candies that both kids are still shoveling into their bags and mouths. What even for? They are only 10 cents anyway. We even asked how much they were. So what if a few go missing? It's not like they're $100 each. Either way, your predator needs to be arrested right now for trying to kidnap my children. Ma'am, that's not going to happen because I know how my employee is, and he's definitely not like that. However, I may have to call the police if you don't pay for those, and you will be banned from the store if you refuse. The dad walks in front of his loud wife and points a finger at me and my manager. That son of a gun nearly took my kids, and now you're threatening us. You don't talk to my wife or me that way, you understand? Sir, I'm going to need you to calm down, or else I will be calling security and the police. My manager then asks me, "Would you like to take out your phone and have 911 ready?" Oh. What's the problem with the candy anyway? It's not like you'll miss them. And besides, I think we should get compensation since you won't deal with that predator over there, still pointing to me. At this point, I just kind of tuned them out, but it was a lot more bickering and yelling. Eventually, they agreed to open the bags that the two kids were holding, and they had roughly $30 worth of candy in their bags. Mind you, a single piece of candy is 10 cents, so by no means was it a small amount of candy, and that's not even counting the ones they ate. Needless to say, they were banned from the store, and my manager came to me later. You all right? Yeah, fine. Why? Not every day you get called a predator, you know. Hey, crazy people gonna be crazy. I ain't gonna let the words of some weirdo pull me down. Good to hear. By the way, thanks for at least staying somewhat calm the entire time. Believe me, I was anything but. When I heard predator, I got thrown in for a loop there. Honestly, I was wondering if the dad was gonna hit me. Wouldn't have come to that. People like that are all talk. Yeah, but if a 300-pound tank came up and started talking crazy to me, I'd be intimidated. Wouldn't you? My manager and I had a good laugh for a bit after they were gone. I don't think the authorities were called, at least not by us, but they were at the very least banned from our store. Gotta love when people think they can just take what they want and call people whatever insult they see fit. Story 4. A few months ago, we had a new neighbor move into the adjoining duplex I've lived in since the summer of 2016. She first left a note about who she is and how she wants to use her garage. But the layout of the parking is stupid to begin with. Imagine a square, and on the left and right sides are 2 garages each. On the upper part of the square are 3 parking blocks. The upper left garage and parking spot are hers. We all have 2 parking spots. In the note, she said she wanted to use her garage and that she's a good driver. So to accommodate her, my boyfriend, who has the middle parking spot, parked as far to the right as he could without inconveniencing us or the other neighbor that parks to the right of us. That system worked well until she ended up driving into the side of her garage door, messing up the door and the side of her car. She ended up just parking in her parking spot with no issues. We just got a note explaining how winter is coming and that she needs use of her garage and that the one she has now she can't use because it tears up the side of the garage door and her car. So she proposed to switch garages. If not, she said she'll be talking to the management company we rent from. I don't even understand how she can feel that entitled to kick me out of my garage or parking space of 5 years. We need the middle spot because we have a diesel that has to be plugged in during the winter. So far, nothing has come out of her empty threats, but I'll keep you posted if she decides to really escalate things.